I'm Nikki.
And I'm Sasha.
Sasha and I discovered that we both had a love for travel and that we'd both been to Vietnam in the past year.
After about 15 drafts, we decided to share some snippets from our favorite drafts.
My piece is titled Two Vietnams. My parents' Vietnam was something to be protested against, the word for a war that moved college students to put flowers in the barrels of National Guardsmen's rifles. My Vietnam was a land of luxury French colonial hotels, beaches with tourists, fishermen on peaceful waters in the early mornings. My parents' Vietnam was a land of communism and poverty, of dictators and ramshackle villages surrounded by rice paddies, of sadness and victims. My Vietnam was under construction, with a booming economy swiftly adopting capitalism, but where we still had to bribe military police to proceed on a highway. My parents' Vietnam spawned drugged-out hippies and the youth counterculture. My Vietnam was in the midst of its own hopeful youth culture, with young people hustling and zooming about on motorbikes. My parents' Vietnam was a famous tragic photograph, a naked child scalded by napalm. My Vietnam was a destination for the traveling class, a romantic playground with cooking schools, cocktails, and silk scarf souvenirs. My parents' Vietnam was a civil war between North and South, between doves and hawks, between young and old. My Vietnam was a proudly nationalistic country, with the Vietnamese flag flying from every home in the North and every shopfront in the South. My parents' Vietnam was the Tet Offensive. My Vietnam was filled with festive kumquat bushes on every corner and on the back of every motorbike to celebrate Tet, the New Year holiday. My parents' Vietnam played the soundtrack of Helicopters, Fortunate Son, and Aquarius. My Vietnam played 60s and 70s music everywhere, in the open-air markets, on the boat in Ha Long Bay, in hotel lobbies. My parents' Vietnam sent our boys to war and also left draft cards in ashes. My Vietnam was pho, delicious, delicious pho.
My Vietnam. When I used to think of Vietnam, I would think of teenagers with flowers in their hair and leather miniskirts, arm in arm with boys in bell-bottoms, and a fist in the air marching against the Vietnam War. I would start humming Aquarius and sigh at the idea of our young men dying in war. Last summer, I was fortunate enough to go backpacking with my mom and explore the real Vietnam. Now when I think of Vietnam, I think of the smile that spreads across my face when I successfully bring spring rolls to my mouth using chopsticks. I feel my backpack thumping on my back as I did when I trekked in the hill tribes in the Ho Binh province. My fingers twitch, wishing to peel away the bright pink curls of dragon fruit skin and slurp the white fruits inside. I look to see a faded billboard of wartime propaganda in the distance, muffled by swarms of chronicle hats. I still tense up at the idea of crossing the street, dense with motorcycles. Some with families of 5 piled on nonchalantly, while other motorcycles sported officewomen in heels. It wasn't uncommon to see a man with a basket full of pigs strapped into the back of his bike, or another's overflowing with woven baskets. When I walk out of my house in the early morning, sleep still in my eyes, I can faintly smell fresh fish from the market. I search for teetering steps in front of me, shadowed by the baskets balanced on a wooden beam on a tired shoulder to show me the way. I can see the saffron robes of a pair of Buddhist monks huddled together out of the corner of my eye. I can squat for hours in the same position, leaning on the backs of my heels. When I am startled by the loud sounds of garbage trucks, I'm reminded of the loudest sound I've ever heard, the booming of M16s from the Coochie tunnels. In the morning, trying to remember where I am, while swiping my MetroCard on the way to school, between bites at lunch, and while gazing out the window in math class, these are the images and senses that flood my head. This is how I remember Vietnam.